this after I got home from my break, but by the time you guys see this, I'll definitely be off my break. Not that anyone cares, but my video editor, DaVinci Resolve, stopped working, so I had to switch, and so I'm slightly salty in making it you guys' problem now. I'm kidding. Anyways, since I just got back, I thought to make a simpler video for this week so I can ease right back into things. So that's how we got here. As you can tell from the title, I'm drawing yet another muse I don't normally draw because those kinds of videos are simpler. I'll get back to doing something more fun eventually. I just need to work out my schedule. So the muse I'm drawing for this video is named Amaru Ayasaki. I obviously have so many muses that I think of but never draw, and like I've said in past videos, whatever you guys see isn't everyone. As usual, I'll probably give the lore rundown since I don't think we need to hear about my art process as much. Unless that's what you guys want, and if that's the case, oops. So, Ayasaki is a figure skater. He's actually Vidinea's skating partner. I did a video on drawing her, and I've explained her lore, so I don't need to get too deep into that. Of course, by extension, he also knows Yova, but I won't get into him either. Maybe in a future video. So, Ayasaki, Vidinea, and Yova are kind of like an ice skating trio of sorts. Except Yova doesn't do figure skating. He used to play hockey, but I'm also not getting into that. I mentioned that Ayasaki likely had somewhat of a harsh life because personality-wise, I'd say he's an ice prince. He's calm and definitely cold to others. Usually, if my muses aren't friendly, warm people, you can expect that they went through a lot in their life. Honestly, the notes and things I had for Ayasaki are actually very vague compared to some of my other muses, so there might be a lot of things I don't expand upon. I'll probably do more development at a later date, but that's about the gist of what he has. Since there wasn't as much lore to dump, I could probably talk about the design choices, art, or whatever other relevant stuff. I think I have a type when creating muses, and that's gotta be pretty men with borderline white hair and upturned eyes. Ayasaki definitely fits those standards alright. Him, Moon, and Jihoon all have a couple of similarities to each other in terms of their vibes above the shoulders. Below the shoulders, at least, they all have different clothing styles. When I created Ayasaki, I imagined that he liked to dabble in more traditional Japanese clothing. I don't know how to describe it, but basically incorporate some aspects of it into everyday wear. So he's always wearing some kind of long flowy robe or something else. It's kind of his aesthetic at this point. I think that's kind of his unique thing since I don't have any other muses that do that. Most of them dress in only modern clothing cause, well, the universe they live in is set in the modern world, similar to our world but with a few idealistic changes because I can. Don't worry, there's still conflict, drama, and other stuff, but it's definitely meant to be a lighter universe. If I wanted angst, I'd do an alternate universe and screw things up. But back to Ayasaki. I had a hard time coming up with a composition for him because I was having a bit of an art block. Okay, maybe not an art block since I still managed to draw this, but it was definitely a lack of inspiration and motivation. I thought about actually drawing him ice skating, but decided against it because it was too difficult and I needed something quicker. So I just did a more specific, peaceful, sort of picture. I feel like the pictures I drew for Moon and Vidinea were more original and actually had something going for them. But oh well. I think next week when I'm fully locked in, I'll make better content. But for this week, we're taking it easy. I could have at least done a more complex background, but I was seriously not feeling it. So I just painted the background and blurred it out as you all will see later. I think I could have waited until I had more motivation to come up with a better piece, but let's just say my life schedule isn't going to allow for that, so yeah. Anyways, I'm probably rambling a lot about nonsense, but I think that's pretty much an occurrence in most of my videos at this point. The rest of this drawing process was easy because I decided to not give Ayasaki any complex details. The only complex detail he has is a red spider lily tattoo on his neck. But it's mostly covered up by his clothes, so it's okay. I could have drawn a complicated pattern on his robes, but it'd probably be a better decision to just leave things simple. Sometimes I have this urge to make more complex designs, but then I'd complain about the muses being too hard to draw. I already struggle on getting facial features, I imagine, right? I don't need more problems. So because I decided to not be an idiot, flat colors went by relatively quick, and so did shading, even if I had given him metal things like piercings and rings. Basically, everything about this was simple down to the rendering, as well as you guys will see later. I did not do anything crazy. I did go in and add stuff to the foreground though, because it makes it look like I put more thought, when in reality, I just kind of do things. I think most days, I just do art and think later, if that makes sense. So, we're finally at the last part of the speed paint. Good job to those who managed to survive my random yapping, because I do that in every video. Anyways, the speed paint is just showing me shading, and it'll eventually get to the rendering part. I wouldn't know. I'm kind of not paying attention and making a script on the fly because that's what I do at this point. I had a couple of gradients that I could have used for this, but I settled on my usual black to blue gradient. I don't know, it adds a very interesting effect to this since there are so many warm colors. I had a red and yellow gradient I'd normally use for sunset scenes like this, but decided not to do that. Honestly, the secret to my coloring and rendering skills would have to be that final gradient on top. It just makes my colors look a bit better and brings the piece all together, if that makes sense. Anyways, the speed paint is probably ending soon, so I'll show you guys the final piece. Here's the final piece. Like I said, it's pretty simple, but that's probably for the better before life hits me with a truck. Anyways, thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you like my content, feel free to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. It'd mean a lot to me. I hope to see everyone in the next video.